Georg Simmel's The Metropolis and Mental Life, How Cities Shape the Modern Mind. At the dawn of the 20th century, the European continent was undergoing a profound transformation. Massive urbanization, fueled by industrialization, was rapidly reshaping not only the physical landscape, but also the psychological and cultural experiences of its inhabitants. In 1903, German sociologist and philosopher Georg Simmel published a groundbreaking essay titled The Metropolis and Mental Life, which would become a cornerstone of urban sociology. In it, Simmel sought to understand how life in the modern metropolis fundamentally alters human consciousness, social relations, and cultural expression. His essay remains a foundational text for interpreting how the built environment affects mental life in ways that continue to resonate today. Philosophical foundations and intellectual context. Simmel's work is deeply rooted in the German intellectual tradition, drawing on several major philosophical and sociological influences. From Kant, he borrows an epistemological framework focused on how the mind structures perception. Simmel applies this to the urban experience, exploring how the overwhelming stimuli of city life condition cognition and behavior. At the same time, he engages with Nietzsche's emphasis on individuality and the existential struggle for self-definition in the face of mass society. He also complements Max Weber's analysis of rationalization and bureaucracy, identifying how the modern city embodies impersonal structures that govern everyday interactions. This fusion of philosophical and sociological perspectives allows Simmel to pose one of the central dilemmas of modernity: how can the individual maintain a sense of autonomy and identity amid the vast, anonymous forces of urban life? As he poignantly states, the deepest problems of modern life derive from the claim of the individual to preserve the autonomy and individuality of their existence in the face of overwhelming social forces. The Blasé attitude, psychological armor of the city dweller. One of Simmel's most enduring contributions is his concept of the Blasé attitude. For the urban dweller, daily life is characterized by an incessant bombardment of stimuli, crowds, advertisements, industrial noise, economic transactions, and the unending flow of strangers. In response to this sensory overload, individuals develop a psychological defense, a mode of indifference that protects the self from emotional exhaustion. The blasé person appears detached, unimpressed, and emotionally withdrawn, not out of cruelty, but as a necessary coping mechanism. Rationality and calculation begin to replace emotion and tradition in decision-making, as the mind filters out what it cannot afford to process. Simmel describes this state as an indifferent attitude to differentiate themselves from the chaotic intensity of the metropolis. A commuter ignoring a homeless person, for example, is not necessarily exhibiting malice, but enacting a survival strategy within an overstimulating environment. Individuality versus social forces, the paradox of urban freedom. The city both liberates and constrains. Simmel argues that urban life fosters individualism by dissolving the traditional bonds of rural communities. The metropolis offers greater anonymity, allowing people to pursue personal freedom and self-expression. Cultural experimentation, artistic subcultures, and intellectual diversity all thrive in urban spaces. Yet this same freedom is paradoxically threatened by the very structures that make city life possible. Bureaucracies, social norms, and market logics often impose conformity and depersonalization. Social relations may become shallow or fleeting. One may experience more encounters than ever before, yet struggle to form meaningful connections. In this way, urban individuality is always shadowed by alienation. The money economy, rationalization and dehumanization. Central to Simmel's analysis is the role of money as a structuring force in urban society. The dominance of the money economy, especially in cities, introduces a rational, abstract, and impersonal mode of valuation. Money mediates social interactions, reducing personal relationships to economic transactions. What once might have been a direct, emotional exchange between individuals becomes filtered through a neutral, quantifiable medium. Simmel explains that the relationships of man to man are mediated by money, they lose their directness and personal quality. As a result, the logic of efficiency and productivity often supersedes that of ethics or emotional depth. While money enables an enormous expansion of trade, specialization, and mobility, it simultaneously strips relationships of their warmth and intimacy. Freedom and alienation, two sides of the urban coin. Urban life is marked by a deep ambivalence. On the one hand, the city offers freedom, the chance to reinvent oneself, to find like-minded individuals, and to experiment with alternative lifestyles. This is the creative power of the metropolis. On the other hand, that same freedom can become isolation. The sheer scale of urban populations makes true community difficult to achieve. People often live among millions but feel profoundly alone. Urban alienation, for Simmel, is not just emotional, it's structural, built into the very organization of city life. The opportunities that cities provide are also the conditions that fragment social cohesion. The intensification of modern life, time, space, and pace. Life in the metropolis unfolds at an accelerated tempo. Simmel writes that the rapid crowding of changing images, the sharp discontinuity in the grasp of a single glance, and the unexpectedness of onrushing impressions create a unique psychological condition. The modern city compresses time and space, making interactions more frequent but also more fleeting. Work becomes more specialized and hurried, and even leisure is consumed rapidly, in theaters, exhibitions, or public parks. This intensification of experience contributes to both creative innovation and psychological stress. It's a world of ceaseless motion, where stillness can feel unnatural. Fashion and cultural expression, identity within the crowd. In one of his more metaphorical passages, Simmel turns to the realm of fashion to illustrate how individuality and conformity coexist in the urban environment. Fashion allows the individual to distinguish themselves from others while still remaining within a socially recognizable framework. For example, avant-garde art or radical streetwear may appear unique, but both depend on being seen, recognized, and to some extent, imitated. This duality, of standing out while fitting in, mirrors the urban condition more broadly. Cultural life in cities thrives on this tension, producing constant innovation tempered by the need for social legibility. Relevance to modern life, urban psychology, and the digital age. More than a century later, Simmel's insights remain remarkably relevant. His concept of the blasé attitude helps explain contemporary phenomena such as urban stress, burnout, and the desensitization that often accompanies digital overload. The commodification of human relationships is now even more pervasive, as social media platforms monetize interactions and reduce human connection to clicks and metrics. The tension between individuality and conformity, once embodied in fashion and cultural trends, now plays out in digital subcultures and algorithm-driven content feeds. Simmel's work informs not only sociology, but also urban planning, public health, and mental health initiatives, especially those concerned with fostering community and well-being in dense urban environments. Criticisms and limitations, blind spots in Simmel's vision. Despite its brilliance, the metropolis and mental life is not without critique. Scholars have pointed out that Simmel's analysis tends to overgeneralize the urban experience, neglecting the vast diversity of perspectives shaped by class, gender, race, and ethnicity. Sociologist Robert Park notes that Simmel overlooks the diversity of metropolitan life, and the varying experiences of its inhabitants. Others argue that his abstract, metaphorical style can make his arguments difficult to apply empirically. Furthermore, his focus on European cities limits the global applicability of his conclusions. In short, while Simmel captures something essential about modern urban life, his analysis remains partial and bounded by its historical and cultural context. Conclusion: a lasting framework for understanding urban modernity. Georg Simmel's The Metropolis and Mental Life offers a timeless framework for thinking about the psychological and social effects of city living. His concepts, from the blasé attitude to the money economy, illuminate the unique conditions of modern life, where freedom and alienation are two sides of the same coin. Though not without limitations, Simmels' essay continues to inspire scholars, planners, and thinkers who seek to understand the deep entanglement between environment and consciousness. As we navigate the complexities of digital cities, global migration, and postmodern urbanism, Simmels' work remains a vital touchstone for anyone interested in the human condition in the age of the metropolis. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to stay updated on our upcoming content.